Hello, NFL football fans. Want to win big this weekend? Then you'll want to stick around for the deepest Week 10 NFL prop bets and parlay picks. Hello, my name is Gary, aka the IDP Tipster, and I'm here to share my Hail Mary deep parlay pick with you, which I personally suggest round robining. You know, go for it all. The bet modest, keep it fun. That's what these kinds of bets are about. So we're going to kick us off with Pittsburgh Steelers TJ Watt versus the Commanders at over a quarter of a sack at negative 115. I couldn't believe that. Um, Boza is just having a killer of a year. He's PFF's got him ranked 90 overall in every aspect of his game. That's just complete elite. Slightly better than Nick Boza. Probably, I don't think I could look him up, and any of them would have 90s across the three boards. So he's having a hell of a year. He's getting the pressures and everything. It might not be that many sacks in his sack stat, but he's getting it, and he's going to get it again here against the Commanders. It's kind of a no-brainer to me when you look at what Daniels has done with the Commanders. He's basically he's given up 6 games with multiple sacks, at least 2 or more. He's had a couple 4, I think maybe even higher. Don't quote me on that though, but I do know it's multiple sacks, and I think it was like 3.5 or something that he's averaging in those 6 games. The other 3 games is coming off a game where he didn't give up anything to the Giants, but I mean, they're a pretty good unit, not the best in the world, but the other 2 teams was, I believe, Arizona and a struggling Carolina at the time, and those are definitely at that time and still now Arizona is got to be ranked 32nd out of the 32 teams. So moving on though. Uh, when it comes to Daniels, whenever he's faced anybody like even from Cleveland to Cincinnati, even Baltimore, I could probably name a couple more here real quick. Even Tampa Bay, which is not one of the top pass rushing units with Yaba Bowie or whatever his name is, and Joe Tyrone. They're pretty mediocre, and they got 2 with them. The first time that the Giants played them, they got 5 sacks. So that was week 2, but that kind of, well, whatever happened this last game, I'm not worried about it with TJ Watt. Again, he's an elite player. He's going to get his, and I mean, there's nobody better. And the unit that he's a part of with Hayward inside with him or next to him, and then across from him, doing the opposite pass rushing duties is Alex Highsmith, which is a well above average guy that's showed flashes when TJ Watt had been hurt in the past. So this is probably the best unit together, minus maybe when they played Cleveland and Jadarius Smith was still there, I think. As a duo, I have no trouble thinking that Smith will probably get himself one, Hayward get him one, and Watt might have one of those multi-sack games. So let's go ahead and anchor this with the biggest stud on here with a great price on him with a negative 115 to get a quarter of a sack over the Commanders. TJ Watt, man, couldn't kick us off any better than that, I don't think.
Well, I was looking for a prize for my new league, a belt or a ring or a nice trophy. My IDP guys went and had my back. The best swag online for champs is found on Trophy Smack. RING, that spells ring. TrophySmack.com has the bling. Good, so good, I have to sing. Go and check them out, they have everything. I can show that I'm the master of my craft. I'm a champion in fantasy and I won't let you forget that. RING, that spells ring. TrophySmack.com has the bling.
Use promo code IDPGuys at checkout for a free ring on TrophySmack.com.
Next up on the slate, we have Nick Bonnitto of the Broncos over a quarter of a sack at plus 170 versus Kansas City. This dude kind glad I didn't pick on him last week because he had like 7 games in a row with 6 sacks until last week, and he's had a mini breakout going on that I haven't spoke much of when I've been talking about his compadre Jonathan Cooper, which he didn't hit last week for us. That parlay. The only one that did was our anchor, which was Khalil Mack. So, but anyways, back to Nick Benito. I don't want to say his name too many times because I'll mess it up. I know I will. Um, let's see. He basically he's been around for a while. He's not really like flashed or shown that much until this stretch this year, and he's basically having a mini breakout. Like I said, he's had like 6 sacks in the last 7 games, and I had eyeballed him a little bit before now. His numbers weren't quite there for me. At the same time, I'm one of those guys. I like a guy that's coming off 2 sacks or 2 games with sacks in each of those games and hitting on 3. But you start pushing it past 3, and by then I was questioning Nick's talent and whether I'd never seen this before. We're with Jonathan Cooper we had last year. He had been having this type of a breakout, so I leaned towards him to be safer. Well, this dude, he missed a week last week, so I'm ready to jump on this bandwagon and think that he can bounce right back and get a sack here in a divisional game against Kansas City and Mahomes, right? Um, Normally in the past, it might have been a little tougher to get to Mahomes, but this year, we've all seen the change. We've all seen the dip. They're on a roll right now. They're bouncing back. They just got a hold of Hopkins and such. But what's interesting about that, not only is there 16 sacks on the season on Mahomes already this year, with at least one in the last 8 games, but one of them, including a 4 sack performance just against the Bucks, which I think I mentioned that the no, well, the Bucks aren't good. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I just thought that. But the Bucks defensive unit or edge rusher unit is nothing special. They do have Vita inside, and I'm sure one of those sacks came to him, if not 2 of them. But somebody else got in there. Anyhow, so again, we're going to point out that he's given up 4 sacks. It's not the same team as it normally is, and Bonnitto is on a breakout rush. Is he elite? No, he's not, but he's definitely above par across the board. You don't have those kinds of stats without being consistent, and that's exactly what is how he's having this breakout. He is consistently getting his job done, and the opportunities here and at plus 170 as part of this Hail Mary, I'm happy to take him as the second leg. So the next one's going to be really kind of weird if you know me from the past because I've actually laughed about this guy. I cracked on him a few hundred times, but this guy is Charles Harris of the Panthers at over a quarter of a sack at plus 180. Okay, so the thing about this guy is, I think it was 2017, former first rounder for Miami and bust. I believe. I believe he's also bounced around, been with the Lions, and just been throughout the league. But basically, I think he was like a top 20 pick and never worked out. Anyhow, he's landed with the Panthers. He's got a second win, and this does happen. Sometimes that veteran or time on the field, actually gets them to develop by the time they in their late 20s. So there's nothing wrong with this. And he's had 3 sacks in the last 5 games since becoming their default starter because of all the injuries and stuff that they've went through. And I mean, not just 1 or 2 starters. I believe they've had multiple injuries on top of that. So they just now got Harris and Clowney back, which Clowney, this is a good one for him too. And I'll tell you here in a second why. It's just that I like that Charles Harris has had the sacks in the last few games where Clowney's not. So give me him at the plus 180 for this. And it really boils down to a lot to what the Giants have offered. They have made the most mediocre pass rushing units look good all year. Okay. Um, let's see, the offensive line is consensus ranked outside of most top 25s. I think all the ones that I looked at least. Plus, a couple of weeks ago, that was before, but a couple of weeks ago, they lost their starting left tackle or right tackle, one of the two. Andre Thomas, can't remember which side he plays, but the guy that replaced him is the one I want to get to, because Andre Thomas was not all that well graded either. But this Chris Hubbard that's replaced him the last two games, he's got a run blocking a grade of 77.8. He has an overall grade of 47.9, which is, wow, that's poor. But that's because he's got a terrible pass blocking grade of 20.5. All right, that's non-existent pass blocking. Coming up against Charles Harris, that's on a little bit of a bounce back in his career. He's been getting after the ball, and again, I'm going to lean so heavy on the fact that the Giants are just, you know, they're sack proof is not sack proof is what it is. I guess they're sack gullible. I don't know how else to put it. Right now, Daniels is sitting something like fourth most in the leagues of being sacked. But the problem there is that's only like 2 or 3 out of the first. So Deshaun Watson went down, so that whole order kind of adjusted at the top. But Daniels is up there, and I have no problem finishing this Hail Mary deep Week 10 NFL parlay with a little bit of a round robin with a plus 80 on Charles Harris going up against the Giants. So, with that said, hey, I really appreciate you joining me again. And again, bet with moderation. Enjoy this bet, because when they do hit, man, it's a beautiful thing.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.